The following program contains scenes and language of a frank and explicit nature. Discretion is advised.
You know what I haven't done in a long time?
What's that?
All right.
Well done.
All right. Welcome to the program, Rareform Radio. Big show tonight.
Yeah.
Just because we have someone other than us losers on here.
Isn't that nice?
I'm getting so sick of just talking to you.
Dude.
Not in a personal way.
Yeah.
But just you're the only person I do this with.
I know.
You know what I mean? So that may be in a little bit of a personal way too.
Well, I liked it before you said that part.
But I came this close
No.
to canceling.
Are you kidding?
Well, I woke up today, I was fine, and then like 3 hours into my day, I was like, it's fucking hot in here. Are you hot? I'm going to everybody. Are you hot? I'm hot. Are you hot in here? I fucking take my temperature. I got like 99.9. I'm like, fuck. And then my bones start aching, and then I'm freaking out. Like, do I have COVID? Like, I don't think I do because...
Well, let me ask you this.
I don't have any other... But, like, I can't break the fucking fever. I feel like shit. And the only reason why I'm still doing it is because tonight we have Mark McGrath, who will be joining us later in the show. And I'm not doing it just because we have him. I'm doing it because he is the only human being I feel that can make me feel better.
I don't know how I feel about that, but cool.
No, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Mark is just the coolest fucking dude ever. So I'm like, well, maybe it'll make me feel better. So I'm hoping for a little McGrath medicine.
He's one of the best ever, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, how you?
I'm pretty good. I don't feel very COVID-y, which is good. Is there any chance since we talked you've gotten a job at the White House? Could that explain why you're sick? No, I feel good. I'm doing all right.
Good. Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, my wife had something very similar like 3 days ago where she got like a spiky fever. We were all nervous. Maybe it was like a week ago. We got tested. She didn't. And like the next day she was fine.
Rice poisoning.
So maybe I have some Asian flu, but her kind of Asian flu, not the COVID kind that's destroying the world.
Not the Wuhan flu. The
my wife flu.
Cool.
So yeah, that's where I'm at.
How's life otherwise? We have Halloween coming up. What happens to parents now with Halloween with kids during this shit?
On one hand, it's good because, like, you know, this entails me going out with the kids and walking around and da-da-da-da. And our neighborhood happens to be a kind of neighborhood where people from all different neighborhoods converge on ours because a few blocks down, I live in, like, I call the ghetto of my neighborhood. It's a nice area, but, like, a few blocks that way, it's immaculate and gorgeous, huge mansions. And I'm on like the last street considered this area. And it's just kind of shitty. Like this is where the bums walk around the outskirts and put me into dangerous positions where I have to like go outdoors. And
you're like wealthy adjacent or something.
Yeah,
or like
well, that's exactly it. Well, I'm wealthy adjacent. So we walk a few blocks in and there's a lot of movie producers that live a few blocks over. So they like hire actors and deck their houses out. And there's people dressed up as Jason and Freddy and ghosts and this and that. And a lot of other people from other neighborhoods come and spend their night here.
Mm-hmm.
It gets so packed that a lot of places you can't even go up to doors. They just sit at their front steps and like candy, you know, like.
Yep.
Because it's too much congestion. Anyway.
Yep.
So I avoid that.
Okay.
Which is great.
I live in a similar place. I live in the valley, so on the other side of the town from you, but still I live near the studios. So all like the special effects people live around me. and walking through the neighborhoods, there's like crashed pirate ships and like literally ghosts flying out of windows and around the house.
Yeah,
and
it's fucking
awesome if you're a kid, and I'm a big kid, so I love horror stuff. So I actually like that part of Halloween, but
I do enjoy it. It's just like the magic of when the kids were little and they were like,
I was about to say they're kind of past the age of amazement.
Last year my son didn't even. He's like, have fun, and he just stayed here and
played video games.
That was it. Yeah, and
cool.
Bring me back some candy. That kind of thing to his sister. But it is sad for the kids. And to be honest, the thing that I enjoyed more than that was because we're on the outskirts, wealthy adjacent. It's too busy over there. Like you can lose children. It's that, the streets are blocked off. There's just thousands of people walking around. So a lot of the parents that have little children, first timers and stuff like that, come down my street. And there's a couple of houses on my block that will be Halloween friendly, but a lot of them are dark and shut down, like they're not doing it. So we get a steady stream of really little kids with their parents like standing at the sidewalk encouraging them, and they're scared, and I'm a sucker. Like I'm like, we're gonna run out of candy. Why? Because I gave that kid 49 pieces of chocolate.
We're done.
Like they're like, wow, So I miss that part, the giving out of the candy.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just canceled here. I don't know what it's like in the rest of the country, but
I don't know. I've kind of stopped keeping track of what's going on elsewhere because it just I'm trying to change my information input. I've been obsessed with hearing bad news for a while, so I'm kind of trying to do other things.
Right. Gotcha.
It's getting wild around here.
Yeah, it's getting crazy, and it's going to get a little crazier in the upcoming months for sure.
Absolutely. So the Lakers just won the championship. Did anything happen in your neighborhood? Did people celebrate? Anything go nuts?
I just heard a bunch of guns being fired from downtown and shit like that. There was a lot of fireworks going off and shit like that, and I was like, was there a resolution to the Armenian conflict? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh my
like,
God, dude.
Like, because that's what I thought it was. Because I have not paid attention to basketball in years. I mean, I'll watch the championship. Maybe the last time I watched the championship was like 5 years ago. But I'm not a Lakers guy, so I really don't care. Right. And I didn't even know they were playing until like the night before. They had already played all the games, and I was like, wait, there's a championship. Anyway, so when I went outside last night, I heard all the noise of fireworks and shit like that. And then I thought, like, something's going on. You're on such high alert here in Los Angeles, too. Like, is that gunshots? Oh, no. That's fireworks.
Right.
Looters aren't lighting fireworks.
Right.
So, like you do a bunch of quick deductions in your head. And then I'm like, oh, yeah. I went online and Lakers win channel. I was like, oh, that's what this fucking dumb basketball.
And that would explain, Lakers winning would explain fireworks and gunshots. So
yeah.
Could be both.
Well, the economically disadvantaged shoot guns. They have them, so they shoot them.
Right.
They can't get the high quality Class A fireworks.
No, losers. Total losers.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just so weird. Like, they won the fucking championship. Who fucking cares? Like, what's going on? Who fucking cares?
Our guest cares.
I know the argument of like, it's humanity, you got to keep things normal, and this is like, sports, and there's a big thing, and like, who fucking cares?
I'm kind of in line with that lately. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
I like the distraction, but also I don't know. Yeah. I'm very, very torn.
Fucking dying here. I don't give a shit about basketball right now. My kids are not going to have a world to grow up in.
That's very likely. It's looking that way.
Give a shit that LeBron James made some good plays. Like, anyway.
Well, in as far as your kids' future, there's some good news. Facebook finally took the step of of taking a stance against Holocaust deniers. So a big step for Facebook lately.
Wow.
Like we gotta do something. So now they're
do something about these Holocaust deniers.
Finally, they've been fine with everything, but now they're like they were taking down political ads first, like political misinformation, and now they're getting to Holocaust deniers. So
look, social dilemma. Those guys have it right. It just needs to be regulated. Every other form of entertainment is regulated. Social media is a form of entertainment. Mm-hmm. I see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if you're entertained by bullshit and bad news and poison, you know what I mean? But yeah, it should just be regulated. Like it's the no-brainer here.
So you're fine with Facebook, like Facebook or Twitter, taking down things that are bullshit. If it's known bullshit.
If they're fact checked, then it's bullshit. Yeah, that's the fucking that's what's put us in this mess, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
There's just too much bullshit out there. And I hate to say it, on the whole, I know there are some fucking amazing people out there. I know there's some really intelligent people. I know there's some amazing creative people. But most people in the world are fucking stupid.
Thank you, Todd.
That's fact. You know, they're not going to take that fact off of Twitter or Facebook.
Please fact check Todd saying that most people are stupid. Thank you, Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook's going to give me one of those.
Right.
Most people are fucking stupid.
Do you think that? Do you think that most people in the world are stupid?
Yes.
Do you mean like just uneducated or born with a brain that can't get smarter?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
And you got to take a brain. It would be an interesting experiment, because if you took the child of like racist, white supremacist, Christian conservative, like all that kind of like all mixed into one, and just yanked them and had them brought up in this liberal free thing, gave them the best education, you know what I mean? Like all that kind of stuff, worldly, traveled, taught them 5, 6, 7 languages, you know, here in America too, like we're one of the few countries that if you're just born here, you don't know more than one language.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and right. I believe that is because thought happens to come out in language. Mm-hmm. And I believe that knowing multiple languages makes a difference. Like we should all.
So we're more limited than like most Europeans that know, like if you're in the center of
they
Europe,
all know English and the language of the country
they
that
basically
they're from.
Know at least 2, usually 3 fluent languages in Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that's why I think also like those kind of countries are more interested in history and things like that. Like just lost here.
We are so arrogant.
I know. I'm the first to fucking admit it. But anyway, back to my point of if you took that brain and put it in those situations, would it gain intelligence? Is it something that's born? I'm sure that there's some genetic facet to it, but could that be overridden? But yeah, I believe that, you know, most people are fucking stupid. End of story.
Should we just wrap it up?
End of story.
I mean, that's the point of the night, right?
Wrap it up on that note.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll talk to Mark another time.
Great. No problem. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder, like, I'm not a stupid dude, but I'm not a genius. But I wonder if, like, with the proper education, if I could have ever been a doctor. And I don't think so.
I think you could have. That's the thing. If you're brought up in that environment and you're starting, you start that kind of education, how to learn properly, you know, with the best schools and this and that, like, you know, I think that it does make a difference. You know what I mean?
Even if I'm a fetal alcohol baby?
Well, there might be brain damage that we can't get past. You know what I mean? Like there's some things there's some scientific reasons we can't get past.
Biological limitations.
But the reason why the world exists the way it exists, whether you're a capitalist society or a communist society or whatever, is because people are easily manipulated because they're stupid. So that's how corporations get the upper hand. That's how, you know, lawmakers get the upper hand. Politicians get the upper hand. Leaders of countries get the upper hand. Like, look at a place look at places where there's like, you know, an evil royal monarchy, like in certain countries where it's like these people are just born into their power and they're the only ones that really have it. And the rest of the people is because they're governing a bunch of stupid people.
Yeah. They're able to give them the old razzle dazzle when it works.
And I'm not talking about like, that's exactly right. I'm not talking about ones that are trying to fight against the oppression of where they live or rebel against the conditions of what they live in.
Mhm.
I'm talking about the people that think these people know what's best for them.
Yeah.
And there's too many of those, even in this country.
I would agree.
You know?
I would agree.
So yeah, again, the world has more stupid people in it than it does smart people.
In summation.
Yes.
Cool.
In conclusion.
Right.
Do you concur?
I want a nice segue from Holocaust deniers to the next thing I want to talk about. Right. Did you see the trailer for the new Mel Gibson movie?
No, I did not.
So there's a new movie coming out. Oh man, I forget what it's called, but he plays Santa Claus, and people are they're like mad at Santa Claus, and they have to like, kids are trying to find Santa Claus, or maybe there's a hit put out to kill Santa Claus for some reason. But how, is that me whistling?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, that was some weird emphasis. Like everybody would think I'm the one who's going to get the emphysema,
right?
But in fact, weird. It's Dan. That was some weird asthmatic fucking hiccup that you can't control.
How has, I know like Mel Gibson has taken his lumps with stuff that he's said and done, but with cancel culture being as powerful as it is, how has he been basically unscathed? How does he still get jobs for being like an open anti-Semite?
All right, because, and this is reaching for sure.
Yeah.
Because he kind of had his lumps given to him, justly deserved, before cancel culture. Do you know what I mean? Like his shit came out before it was cancel everybody. You know what I mean? And he just kind of dipped out for a while. But
interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
you might be right. Was Bill Cosby before cancel culture as well? That's also a much more horrendous case.
Yeah,
but
yes, he was right on the beginnings of it. I think maybe he's one of the guys who kind of kicked it off, but that was before.
Maybe Cosby was like grandfathered in to the movement.
Right, but here's the thing: cancel culture. Let's define that, because I have a negative connotation that I spin it in my perception of cancel culture.
Oh, meaning same.
Yeah, meaning someone throws some shit out on Facebook or Twitter about someone saying something or whatever, and everybody jumps in, cancel without knowing all the facts or whatever first. To me, that's because most people are stupid, right? Okay, so that's the first thing. But Bill Cosby is different because that wasn't part of cancel culture. That was part of, this guy's a criminal culture. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
This guy is drugging and raping women. This isn't, oh, so-and-so made a bad joke on Twitter, so let's ruin their entire career.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure,
this is a guy who, you know, so to me, it's two different things. Like, part of cancel culture is the lynch mob mentality of not understanding and just going with the flow of what everybody else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different. But again, I think the Bill Cosby thing was a little beforehand too.
Right.
I mean, I really think it started with the Weinstein stuff.
Sure, I would agree. There's a new person that we know that they're trying to cancel right now.
Who's that?
In a smaller sense, Bill Burr, our buddy Bill Burr.
Oh yeah, why? Because of his SNL thing?
Yeah, his in my opinion, epic monologue.
Yeah, he was great.
Did you watch it?
He was great.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So Bill Burr hosted SNL this past Saturday, and like a lot of comedians do, his opening monologue, it wasn't like a bit. He did like a 5-minute stand-up routine, 7 minute stand-up routine, and he's always like called out hypocrisy and called out, the woke movement, and he called out woke white women on Saturday.
Yeah.
In, I thought, a pretty perfect way. It was, and again, they're fucking jokes. So relax. But
but people don't like when there's a hint of truth to humor, and there
all
is
truth. Yeah.
Or all truth. Yeah, I was trying to save face a little bit, but yeah, there is. I mean, I thought it was great what he said.
Mm-hmm.
I think he said it knowing that he was going to get that reaction to it.
I think that's also why we love him, is because he doesn't really give a fuck.
He does not give a fuck.
His fan base isn't going anywhere,
No. Someone like him is 100% necessary.
Yep.
We talk about that a lot on the show, like the necessary people. You know what I mean? And
he has
this
a lot
also
of,
isn't a guy like this isn't a guy like Louis C.K. where there was a mishap outside of his act.
Yeah.
Where it's horrible that we lost such a great comic genius because he was canceled because of shit that he did in his personal life.
Mm-hmm.
But Bill Burr, to be canceled for saying shit in your act, like, that's some fucking Lenny Bruce, like, let's take this guy down and ruin his career so he never works again because of what he says is on stage. And that's just
unless
deplorable.
You're Michael Richards, and then, at which point, okay.
It
wasn't funny. It was being stupid. But yes, I hear you completely.
And arguably, if it wasn't funny.
Right. Yeah, I
feel it was funny to watch him go down.
When's the last time you watched the video? Have you seen it in a while?
Not that long ago, like 6-8 months ago. I've seen it.
I definitely watch it at least once a year, easily once a year. For anyone that doesn't know, Michael Richards played Kramer on Seinfeld, and he had a very famous incident at Laugh Factory or Comedy Store.
The Laugh Factory,
where he called someone the N-word.
Paul Mooney.
Oh, he called him? That was it was to him?
Yeah.
Or about him? Was he in the room?
No, it was to I think he was in the room up in the top, yeah.
And didn't go well.
No, it did
not. Just didn't go well.
No.
But preach on, Bill Burr.
But there's a guy who got canceled after he made multi-millions culturally iconic on a TV show that was the biggest TV show of the 90s.
Maybe of all time. What was bigger?
Yeah.
Might be bigger.
Well,
might be the biggest. It was bigger than Cheers. It was bigger than Simpsons.
Those shows are humongous powerhouses too. But yeah,
MASH.
He's like, yeah, go ahead, cancel me, whatever.
If you need me, I'll be in one of my mansions.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if he really cares. He must a little bit, but
yeah, I'm sure.
What else I want to talk
He is on an episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee with Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, he is.
You ever seen that show?
I love it. Is it one of the older ones? I must have seen it then.
Yeah, it's one of the first ones. Yeah, like first season. Yeah.
That's one of those shows too, where it's like it's so simple and so great.
Yeah.
15-minute interview, drive around in a car, go to a coffee shop, get out of there.
Talking about comedy and shit. Like, I love it. Yeah, it's great. Anyway.
Todd, we have some listener questions if you care to get into some of that.
Sure.
It's been a while. All right, let's see what we got here.
You have reached the voicemail box of
Rare Form Radio.
Please leave a message after the tone.
Hey guys, if you had to pick one member of Jane's Addiction to fight, who would it be and why? And likewise, if you had to have one of them back you up in a fight, who would it be and why? Love the show. Keep it up, guys.
I like that question.
Who do you want to handle it first?
Let's see. Let's include all members, past and present.
Okay.
Open the pool up a little bit.
Okay.
Who would I want to fight?
I'll tell you right now my answer. I knew it right when he asked.
I mean, I think that Dave would be the easiest of past and present, unless has anyone in Jane's died in the past? I think he might be the easiest. I hate to say it, no offense, but I think that'd probably be the easiest one.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Perry seems the scrappiest.
I go like this. Yeah, I go like this to Dave, and he's like, So like, no-brainer. I'd fight Dave.
Perry seems the scrappiest. Even he's over 60 years old, but he's still fit as fuck. And I feel like because
his mind could snap in a fight. Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like he's where like he's a surfer. He grew up in LA a bit and has like New York blood. Has that tweaker mentality. So like he could probably snap and like pull your eyes out kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So fighting Perry would be fun just for like, hey, I fought Perry from Jane's Addiction, whatever.
To make it a good fight.
Dave would be the one I would choose just because it's probably the easiest.
Mm-hmm.
To have in my corner is an absolute no-brainer, Duff McKagan, because he's a trained fighter. He's super fit.
Yeah, but I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can. I know we all said we open up the pool to every member, but like a member that was a member for like 3 months.
He wrote songs or on records. He played on the record.
All right, I would go with him too. But say we nixed him, I would take Eric Avery. He's a big guy.
I probably would too. And he's like quiet, and sometimes quiet can be scary. And I feel like he's probably pretty strong.
He could pack a punch for sure.
Yeah. And
but then again, don't leave Chris Chaney out of the mix. There's something about Chris. First of all, Chris is incredibly strong. He planks for 9 hours a day and like all that shit. But there's also a little something that could just go like this. And I could see him being a maniac.
Well,
like to have on my side.
You make a great point. Perkins is also that guy.
Yeah.
The nicest, most unassuming dude. Yeah. And strong as fuck, but unassuming. But if you were to like threaten his family or like, I've seen him get mad a few times, and it's so much like someone flipped a switch, and it's like, who is this dude? I don't want to fuck with this dude.
I would want him in my corner just because he has a huge cock.
Yeah, because he could block punches like a lightsaber.
Yeah.
So would yours be? Would you fight Dave? Is that your answer?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I wouldn't pick anyone else, and I wouldn't even consider fighting anyone else in that band because I'm 100% victorious in that fight.
Ooh, I wonder about having Flea on your side. I feel like he could scrap too.
Yeah, I bet you he could.
Who do you got in a fight between Flea and Chaney?
I don't know. There's something about Chaney that I feel is underestimated.
I think.
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And again, he's another guy that like I've seen him snap, and it's like, who are you?
Yeah,
who is this guy?
I've seen that too. It's great.
And I quit. All right. Cool. And
all right. So what's the next question?
That's it. Oh wait, no. There's one more. There's one more. Shit. Here we go.
In fact, I would fight Dave even if he wasn't in Jane's Addiction.
You can fight Dave tonight if you wanted to.
No, go ahead.
All right, here we go.
What's everybody's favorite deep cut Van Halen songs? Mine's probably Little Guitars off Diver Down.
Was just listening to it today, actually.
I don't know any deep cuts. I'm not that much of a Van Halen fan.
I don't even know if Little Guitars is a deep cut, though. I mean, to me, it was a popular song because I just had that record, and but the intro to Little Guitars is pretty fucking amazing too. But fuck, deep cuts. I don't know. All the songs that I like, I feel are. Like everything on Van Halen 1 to me is amazing.
Okay.
Let's save this question for Mark McGrath too.
Okay.
Because he'll have something to say on it. And I'm sure we're gonna get into a little homage moment because it was fucking heartbreaking news. But let's take a quick break before we get into that. I'm gonna probably go vomit because I'm so hot right now with this fucking light on. Maybe I'll get this thermometer so I could keep checking my temperature for the show.
That would be fun.
And then we'll be back with the amazing, wonderful mensch, Mr. Mark McGrath.
Enjoying the podcast? If you'd like to show support for Rareform, there are a couple of ways. Become a patron at patreon.com/rareformradio. Make a one-time donation or choose from a few subscription levels paid monthly for extra benefits. Those extra benefits include bonus episodes not available to the public, exclusive live streams, more interactions with the gang, along with other special perks that will change over time. Choose your level of donation and know that your contributions go to keeping the show running and growing, paying crews behind the scenes, and just supporting independent artists. That's patreon.com/rareformradio. You can also get Rareform merch by going to rareformradio.threadless.com. T-shirts, hoodies, mugs, all kinds of silly shit. We're constantly adding new things and limited time only goodies. That's rareformradio.threadless.com. You can also help build the show by subscribing, leaving a review, and most importantly, leaving us a rating on iTunes and Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Lastly, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram by searching @rareformradio. Thanks for supporting independent entertainment.
All right, welcome back to Rareform Radio, and we are joined with the mensch himself, Mr. Mark McGrath.
Oh, an applause even. Thank you, fella.
Wow, only for you.
Honored to be back on a Rareform Radio. It's been a while. I think it's been probably 10 years since you had me last, so I'm glad you recycled through every guest 4 times until you get back to me. I'm just glad to see your beautiful faces.
We couldn't get anybody else, so figured we'd call McGrath.
Yeah, yeah, and speaking of anybody else, I see your T-shirt, and it brings back such wonderful memories. I mean, when a song got added to that station, you were cooking, man. You were cooking.
Yeah, this is I grew up on WAAF, which has since become a Christian station in Boston, which is, they went away like maybe 6 months or within the last year, they became a Christian station.
That's mind-boggling.
Well, Mark, speaking of T-shirts, I have a little funny story that I don't know if you'll remember. But when you and I first started really getting to know each other, was at a lot of the shows and a lot of the back then Camp Freddy shows, now Royal Machine shows and stuff like that. And I would always be wearing like some New York hardcore obscure like Madball shirt or whatever, and you would always comment and you would always know exactly who the bands were, and I always loved that about you. But one day you said to me, you're like, "Oh, you're wearing that Madball shirt." He's like, "I kind of feel like you put those on for me." And my my thought was, that's kind of weird that he would think that I put them on for him. But lo and behold, every time I put on a shirt that's a hardcore shirt, I think of you. So I'm really putting them on for you. I'm like, would McGrath approve of this band if I wear this shirt right now?
That's great.
Can you imagine the narcissism of thinking that and saying that? Todd, are you wearing that Crumbsucker shirt for me, bro?
Yeah.
Is that Leeway shirt for me?
Exactly. The fact that you even knew who Leeway was. Well, I was like, Mark's the coolest fucking guy.
I'm such a fan of hardcore, but like New York was really rolling in the 80s and kind of kept hardcore together with all those CBGB matinees, Youth of Today, Crumbsuckers, Sick of the Ball was coming on the scene. And them. So Murphy's Law and all these great bands that I just got, they're still representing that hardcore that completely died on the West Coast because it's got so violent. Well, you guys had more of a scene that was more welcoming, and don't get it twisted. It was gnarly. You weren't going to mess with anybody in that scene. But it was vibrant, so it was nice to see something still happening,
Yeah, the Cro-Mag shows that I used to go to were some of the most violent shows I've ever been to in my life, but they were amazing.
East Coast hardcore was not like it was super violent, but if you got knocked down, everyone picked you up again, and you got back into it.
Part of it.
Yeah,
it was part of it for sure.
And there was an early community. It was like with the DYS in Boston. Was that the one? There was one like gang of marauders that would just, they were like kind of like DMS was in New York.
FSU.
FSU, that's it.
Yeah. Fuck shit up. It was fuck shit up.
That's right. And like, dude, nicest guys in the world, taking care of everybody, protecting the scene. If some punkers were walking home late at night, they weren't the strongest guys, anybody fucked with them, FSU was all on them. And the same with DMS. I always admired that. It was a brotherhood, but if you crossed them, man, it was a wrap.
So FSU at one point, when I started going to shows when I was like 13, 14, going to like the 1 p.m. hardcore shows in Boston, that the bands would play early in the day for the underage kids, and then they have the all ages at night. FSU became a bunch of dudes that just went to fuck up little kids. So their whole ideology changed, and they became cocksuckers, like super pricks. And then there was another group called the Sharps, which is the skinheads against racial prejudice.
Yeah.
And they would come and they would protect all the kids, and they would fuck up the FSU guys. I mean, there's a whole subculture of hardcore stuff back then.
There's a great video somewhere lurking online where when Dave and I were doing Spread TV way back at the Dragonfly, we were doing that little Spread TV talk show. We had Madball on as guests, and they were playing a show.
Dave must have been stoked.
Well, I pushed the issue because I knew they were playing a show, and I know someone that knows them. So, you know, I was like, we got to have these guys on. They're fucking like the Led Zeppelin of hardcore to me, you know, blah, blah, blah. So they were on, and it was a great show. And I asked them, hey, is it cool if I come by and film your show tonight at the Roxy or wherever it was? And, you know, no money. I just wanted the opportunity to shoot. And there I have on footage Freddie, who's the lead singer of Madball. There's a security guy that roughs up some kid who's like slamming, and he stops the show and berates this fucking security guy, and all the DMS guys come out on stage, and like, and he was protecting the kids, and he was saying, if you fucking don't know how to handle these hardcore shows, then don't fucking hire us to play. Like, he was screaming.
And you gotta love that passion.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
You could argue that hardcore bands care about their fans almost more than anybody.
Oh, without a doubt, because
those guys.
Yeah, sorry, because there's not a commercial aspect of it. It's like, you know, it's never been on the radio. You know, I mean, a couple of those hardcore bands got signed to labels, but you know, no one ever really, you know, got gigantic from it. It was always about the core audience, kind of like, you know, like gangster rap always had that core audience. You're going to go gold every time you release it because you stayed true to what you did, and you not only supported the scene, you kept it vibrant, you know? Yeah. So I've always admired that because it's so far away from my success, and I'm the biggest pussy in the world. I'm not a fighter or a lover, but I love to watch both.
That's a good way to put it.
So you're a voyeur is what you are.
I am a bit of a voyeur. I'm a bit of a fly on the wall that people constantly try to swat. But
speaking of fly on the wall, there was a tweet that I sent out that I got to give credit because Dan actually did come up with it first, or it was on Instagram that I posted a picture of the fly on Mike Pence's head during the debate. And I was like, we got to post this. And then Dan had texted me and he's like, you got to tag McGrath, say, I just want to fly. So for those of you who haven't seen it, I tagged you in it, and I said, did you know that Mike Pence was going to give you guys such a huge shout out at the national stage? And your response was classic. You're like, you fucking beat me to it.
You just got me. I was putting my Instagram together, you know, because like, look, when you see a fly in someone's head, fly's been pretty good to me for 23 years. I immediately thought about it. You guys are the quickest, smartest, sharpest guy in the world. I'm like, I'm so slow in technology. I'm trying to get my things together and post it up. And Todd came in with it, and Dan came in. I'm like, you guys beat me to it. But I go, I bet I get all the credit for it.
Yeah, of course. But then I realized it was everywhere. I mean, once again, you are finding yourself in the center of this viral moment, whether it's Cameo or now this Pence fly thing. It's a very peculiar thing, like how you always find your way into these moments. I love it. I love seeing it.
And Dan, it's so weird. And I would love to say, yeah, you know, I'm orchestrating this, or there's some magic behind it, or there's a thought behind it. Everything is so bizarre. Yeah. And all of them are always misconstrued. They're always like a Three's Company episode. Oh, I thought you were doing this, but he was doing that at the end. You know, right. Mm-hmm. We'll take you back. Okay. Let's go to what do you want to start? Well, we'll start with the Pence thing. You know, here's the irony about that. Is like, I'm not political in any sense. You know what I mean? Do your thing, whatever. God bless. I know this is a crazy election. I have a job to do, and I played for everybody from President Clinton, and I played for Donald Trump. I played for everybody. You know, I am a performer. I'm just a 90s saloon singer with a dream. Yeah, that's all I do is perform.
You don't pick who you perform to.
Yeah, well,
Whoever wants to hear you perform, you know.
But you know, New Year's Eve, Dan hit me up. Goes, you want to talk about Mar-a-Lago? You don't have to. Of course, I'm going to talk about it. So on New Year's Eve, I played a show at Mar-a-Lago, right? Now, this gig got booked about 6 months out. They said, "You want this ridiculous amount of money to come down and play 4 songs? Not even with Sugar Ray, just myself and some band." And they go, "There's a chance the president might be there, might not be." And like, this was like in 2019 when things were even different, but there was still a lot of division and blah, blah, blah.
The olden days, we call it, the olden days.
Them olden days.
Yeah.
But I was on Celebrity Apprentice, so I have a little bit of a relationship with him and of his kids, you know what I mean? And I only know my experiences, and I'm like, yeah, they were fine to me. How much you gonna pay me? Shit, it was like triple what the band would get, you know what I mean? So I'm like, 4 songs, no overhead. My family is going to be in Miami anyway, so I go be in Palm Beach. I'll do the couple songs. It wasn't a fundraiser. It was nothing. It was Mar-a-Lago has a New Year's Eve party every year. That's it. No pictures, no nothing. Turns out, of course, Trump was there. I didn't see him, didn't talk to him. I also have a charity thing that I give a couple bucks to, so it'll be a nice way to kick up some money that way. No one gets hurt. No one cares. No one will give a shit. I'm Mark McGrath. Gives a fuck about Mark McGrath. I don't care about Mark McGrath, right? So, as I say in third person. So there's no pictures, no nothing. I do a couple songs. It's no big deal. All right, this is done. I'm going to get in the car and do the hour and a half down to the Fontainebleau where my family's staying, and then we're going to spend New Year's and awesome fun. So I get in the car, and as I'm getting down off this like little stage area, this girl comes up to me and goes, "Oh, my grandma's the biggest fan of Sugar Ray. Would you take a picture really quickly?" I go, "Sure." We weren't supposed to. But you guys know me. I can't.
Let me just say real quick. Mark is the kindest person I have ever seen with anybody that wants an autograph, a picture, or a 10-minute conversation. He does it for everybody. And I'm not just because you're here. You are one of the best I've ever seen with dealing with people that just want to say hello. So good for you.
It's genuine.
Except it gets you in trouble sometimes, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, that warms my heart, and I can't. I just don't want to live my life saying, "Oh, is this person this person like think about teams. Is this guy a Laker fan or is he a Celtics fan?" Like, I just don't live my life. I see people, and someone wanted a picture. How harmless is that? So I take a picture with this lady, and I go down to get to the Fontainebleau. Now, it was a New Year's Eve gig, so I get to the Fontainebleau about 2:00. I put my phone down. Now I have tinnitus, so I sleep with like old Howard Stern episodes in my ears, right? So I can go to sleep, So I wake up at 4:00 to take a piss, and I look at my phone. I was kind of half a daze, and I just look on Twitter, and I'm trending, and I'm like, am I what? And I'm like trending like number 7, and I go, what? And I push the thing, and I see the picture of me and the old lady, and go, "He's a Trumper." You know what I mean? I didn't vote for the man. You know what I mean? I didn't vote for. It's like it's so. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. So I go, you know what? This will be gone by the morning, no problem. Just did a shot of Jameson, went back to sleep, and woke up at like 9:00, and now I'm turning number 1. Me and the old lady, oh my God, this, that, and the other, and I'm like, oh my God. And like, once it gets out of the bag, there's no bringing it back. There's no logic. There's no reason. So luckily, I mean, that thing just went huge. Ironically, I got about 6,000 more followers than I had. Everybody's like, "You're going to lose followers. It's going to be," I'm like, yeah, my God, I got 6,000 more followers, which I proceeded to lose because I think people saw, but to his credit, the dude that came to my defense, Richard fucking Marks, came to my defense. I don't know if
really?
you see him.
Dude, this guy is killing it on Twitter lately.
Richard Marks, recalibrate your whole 80s, adult rock. And this guy is gangster on his Twitter with his politics.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, "I know Mark, and I've known him forever. And if he was there, he's an entertainer, probably booked a gig, might have been a charity, God knows what. I know he's not political." He didn't say whether I was this, that. He goes, "I know he's not political, so I'm co-signing that." And I went around, and I do have his numbers. Dude, that's the sweetest thing you've ever said. Because he put out a big fire for me,
Yeah.
So that was really cool. But that was just another misconception about, trending. And then there was that cameo that trended out to the fucking world and back. I'm not, your listeners probably don't even know or even care what I'm talking about.
Oh no, we've discussed it. So a quick catch up. So everyone knows what the Cameo app is, but Mark was one of the first I feel like when you're one of the first people to kind of get on there, and you had this really cool.
dating celebrities to get out there.
There you go. And so what basically happened? So someone asked you to basically break up with someone.
So what it is the more you do, the more money you make. And I'm pretty good at sifting through bullshit and filtering like, you're trying to make fun of me, you're not trying to. I mean, look, no one makes fun of me better than me, so I'm really good at it. So to get one by me, you gotta be like Nolan Ryan, or you gotta be throwing some heaters, So this guy sends me a request. The guy was actually through a girl's voice. We're grad students, and I'm breaking up with my boyfriend, and he's going through he's writing his thesis, and I feel really bad, but the long distance thing isn't working, and I feel terrible. And is there any way you could break up with him for me on this? I really can't do it, and it would be so great. So immediately I go like, yeah, all those Sugar Ray grad students, this was like 6 months ago. When was the last time anyone under 40?
Well, maybe they were very, very stupid, and it took them that long to get through, school.
Or super ahead of the irony game. You know what I mean? Yeah, either way. But I originally read like bullshit. I'm like, look, I'll take their $150. I'll do it straight. You know what I mean? And the 3-4 people will see it. They go, oh, we got him. Now here's my luck. Okay, I do it straight, and I also do about 4 minutes. So I'm like, hey, I'm really sorry. I know it's a tough time to do this. I know the cliches, but one door shuts and another one opens, and there's a lot of fish in the sea. And you know what? Who knows? Maybe someday the three of us can high five at a Sugar Ray show backstage, and I'll laugh at this. And I thought that was definitely the giveaway, the tip. You know what I mean? In poker.
Right.
And I went beep beep bop boop boop, sent it, forgot about it, and that was it. 3 weeks later, again, I'm looking on Twitter. I'm trending number 3. I go, for what? And it had like Cameo. It has little hashtags at the bottom. It said Cameo. I go, Cameo? For what? Then I saw the thing and I'm like, oh my God. And now I'm in a conundrum because half the people think I am the sweetest guy who's ever lived in the world. And the other half think I'm the biggest idiot that's been hoodwinked by this guy. So now I'm like, do I say I knew it was a joke, or do I was in this weird, vacuum of Cameo insanity? And so I let it ride a little bit, and then I was on Extra for a long time, as some of your listeners and viewers may know. So Billy Bush called me up and goes, would you do a little thing? And so I gave them the exclusive, if you will. I go, yeah, dude, I knew it was a joke the whole time. I mean, come on, man. And but you know what? It's the most viewed cameo of all time. And because of that cameo, I've been able to generate over 6 figures this pandemic year.
Are you shitting me?
It's been the biggest blessing of my life, because we all know we're not doing anything. All of us here in the live entertainment business,
Right. So hoodwinked is a word that should never be used in this story, because in the end, look who came out on top.
Yeah.
Well, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Off the top, I never looked at it like I was getting dissed, because I knew what I was doing. Like any sane person, look at that cameo and go, and if you knew me, go, he's joking. He went on for 5 minutes breaking up with this grad student during her thesis through me, the douche and Sugar. And none of it made sense. But again, it's a volume business, and I'll take your money.
It's funny. Like I feel like I know you reasonably well, and I believed it. I thought it was real. I saw you like a day or two after it happened, and I was like, dude, that's fucking amazing. And you're like, it wasn't real. And I was shocked.
And you were kind of bummed, and like
a little bit,
because people that know me were probably going, yeah, he might have done something like that. And like, there was no part of me that said like, well, let me play it really straight just in case it's real. I always felt it was fake. And I go, well, I'm just going to get one over on him because he thinks he's getting one over on me. Sometimes I burn myself so bad that nobody else knows, and I'm the only guy that knows that I know that he knows that I had a cat.
The reason that I liked it is because a lot of people don't know this, but in 2000, I was with you in Chicago in 2008 or early 2009, and I didn't know you very well at this point, but you and I were in a conversation, and you asked me how I was doing, and I was kind of bummed out because I was in like a 6-year relationship that was kind of like winding down, and I was kind of stuck. I didn't know what to do, and I don't know why, but I confided in you, and I opened up to you about what was going on, and rather than be like, okay, I gotta go, like I don't want to hear this, you listened, and like a brother, you kind of talked me through it and gave me different ways to look at things, and you kind of helped me come to the realization that I should break up with this girl, which I did, which led me to marrying my wife, who I've been with for over 11 years now. So you helped me in one of the most crucial moments of my life where, had you not helped, I don't know where I would have been. I could have been in like a 15-year horrible relationship where I'm miserable, but you gave me some great advice, and I want to thank you again for that. So that's also why I love that cameo, because it seemed like you were helping somebody else, like letting someone down easy, you know?
Well, Dan, first of all, I appreciate that. That warms my heart. And I appreciate you like feeling, safe enough or willing enough to confide in me, bro, because I felt instant connection to both of you guys the second I met you, because when I walked into that Camp Freddy, Royal Machine World, you guys were like, the soldiers in the front, kind of. You guys knew where all the bodies are buried, how it all worked. And I just remember being super like insecure and scared. And you guys were so welcoming and kind that I felt right away, all right, these guys are great. And it must be a testament to what the band's going to be like. And it was great. And here I am all these years later, a part of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But, dude, you deserve, Dan, when I broke my heart, you had the stories, I'm like, you deserve so much better. You're such a good cat. And I'm glad to see it lived to that. But I always say this, man, I'm an expert on everybody's relationship in the world. An expert. I'm an expert, except my own.
You're wrong.
Okay?
That's the way it always is.
Yeah. I mean, because all I'm dealing is logic when I hear your stuff. But mine, I'm emotionally involved, Yeah. I mean, my chick just smacked me in the face last night, but it's cool. She didn't mean it,
Yeah.
If someone did that to you, I go fucking run,
Right.
But it's strange. When the old heart gets involved, man, all bets are off,
Mm-hmm. But Dan tried to talk to me about it back then. I just told him well, if you want, I'll fuck her in the ass and take pictures, and then you could blackmail her with it. That was my solution.
Yeah, Todd's brotherly advice was, man up, faggot.
I'll tell you, Dan, you got two of the toughest dudes in the world to like, Dave and Todd to like, bro, I need a shoulder to cry on. Though they are those guys, and I know they are.
Todd is.
But you're going to get some bullshit.
Todd is. Dave doesn't like to be bothered with anything that makes him, puts him out in the slightest.
With anything that, one time, it's funny. Here's a quick Dave story. So one time he was at the house, and Mark, you've been here. Dan, you've been here. The layout of there's a little porch there. And there was the garbage can was like in a little bit in the driveway. And he parked his car, and on the way over, he just went like this, like, and just slid it out of the way of the driveway. Do you know that to this day, still, he's like, remember that time I moved your can for you? Like, that's his one contribution.
That's him going out of his way for a bro.
That's his going out of his way for me.
Listen, Todd, I've always been there for you. Remember that trash can?
He reminds me of it like once a month.
Still. Of course.
Because he wants to cash in that favor, Todd, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. That's how we love the guy. You know what you get with the dude. But, getting back to sort of the viral stuff. And so just recently with the Pence Fly thing, that you guys absolutely were right on it and sent me in the direction.
But so were thousands of others, by the way. I mean, that we were not the only ones that had that idea.
Oh, no. It's a very obvious idea. Some just came quicker on it because, look, it's part of my life, and you guys know me. So, it just went quick with it. So I have new management now. These guys, Shelter Management, they manage like ZZ Top, Fleetwood Mac, Bare Naked Ladies. And so they have all these like young social media folk, and like, you got to be on TikTok. I'm like, listen, my kids do TikTok and the dance. It's just not my vibe, And they go, no, you got to do it, and we'll do something with the fly and Mike Pence's head, and then you'll sing it and all that. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know, I'm too. I've aged out of that shit. So I, of course, get talked into it. Get on TikTok last Friday, and I do a thing where like I go, just on fly, and I point to the fly in Pence's head. Dude, it blows up. 500,000 views, another whole thing. And now I am the anti-Trumper. Now, this started New Year's Eve, full Trump. Now I am Trump hate, F you, don't bring politics. I mean, it's just insane. And this I can only go viral if it's misconstrued and completely wrong.
Okay, so The one reason why it was so genius for me personally, because I know you personally and the song makes sense and ha ha ha, it's like low rung humor, but it's endearing, right?
It's juvenile and great. Yeah.
Right. But the reason why I loved it is because exactly like I don't get into politics. Like Dan knows, I don't like to talk about it on the show. I don't ever post politics ever. He knows I won't even like something that's political that I agree with, just because I don't want to fuck it. I've been down that road. I don't want to hear it.
I feel the same way.
Yes. Yeah. So,
not exactly. Dan's got no problem, which I respect.
Yeah. So it was the perfect way to take an obvious thing and post it and make a joke out of it and not have it be political. It's really about me giving you a little, hey, ha ha ha, someone I know personally who there's a fly and a thing like that, you know? And even on my feed, like I had to block people.
Yeah.
Because it gets so misconstrued. And Dan and I started the show before you joined us. We were talking a lot about social media and stuff like that. And like, that's how fucking stupid people are. Like they believe what they want to, whatever course they want to go down, they will take it that way, no matter what it is, which is why I don't like to talk about anything political.
That's right.
No one's understanding you anyway. They want to just understand what they want it to be.
Yeah.
That's right. So, and they can twist the narrative to whatever they want it to be, dude. And then you can't really follow up and fact check because that doesn't exist anymore. And I said, fly landed on Pence's head. I didn't think politically. I go, fly landed on dude's head. That's funny. I say, fly. Hey, I'm going to point and say, I just want to fly. Everybody get it?
Right.
And then,
if it landed on
shitstorm election year. I just totally forgot, you know?
If it landed on Kamala Harris's nose, you'd be getting shit from the fucking left.
Right. But I would have done the same thing, though.
Right, of course. Exactly. That's my point. Yeah.
If it landed on Chris Wallace's face, I would have done, you know, and then it would have been a clusterfuck. So I agree with you, Todd. Like, you can't even just have a non-opinion opinion about something that's kind of funny. It's
like a lighthearted joke becomes this fucking nuclear bomb.
Everything is the Cowboys or the Giants. Like there's a team. What are the Yankees and the Sox? What do you want? There's no intermingling. Pick a side, Hatfield or McCoy's, and that's when politics are dangerous, man. Because then we're not having discussions anymore.
True, right? And we all know that it's not the Sox.
Shut the fuck up, Todd. Shut your fucking stupid old man face.
This is what I always say to Dan. You know what the worst problem with people from Boston is? They wish they were New Yorkers so badly.
Wow.
Okay, and we're out of time. Thank you, Mark, for being here.
Mark, go ahead.
Before we move on from social media, like, Mark, you're a guy who has been on social media for a while, and I imagine you get your fair amount of shit. You know, there's easy jabs to make, and you make jokes about your frosted hair before anyone else can, but like, what kind of hate do you get in a political landscape now? Like, if people think you're a Trump person or they think you're against Trump, does that change as a level of like violence threatened towards you? Is that elevated now, or is it the kind of the same old shit just with a different reason?
Well, the Trump thing, after that New Year's Eve performance, I'm like, wow, this is really dark. I was getting death threats, and and some of my family members are getting death threats, and I'm like, well, this is crazy. You know, now I've been getting death threats my whole life, ever since I was a break dancer in high school. You know? But still, like, you know, they don't bother me. You know, I've got a pretty thick veneer in front of me. Like I said, I live in a self-effacing zone where I always make fun of myself. So it would take a lot, you know. I get a lot of the sugar gay stuff because of that video that was made 25 years ago.
I'm still on your side. I'm still on your side with that one, though. That was fucking great.
Well, I need to completely put that in context again about that. And somehow that kid in that video keeps getting younger and I keep getting older. It's like Mark McGrath yells at fetus. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, that night, that kid was in the bar. Okay. So he either had the best fake ID ever or he was 21. So, you know, listen, I come into that bar, it's 2:30 in the morning, I'm drunk as high, I'm probably high and everything else, you know, and I'm out of my mind. I got the cocaine on, you know, the whole thing. So, but Madonna was having a party, right? watch your feet for dropping names there. But she was having a party, so there was a lot of gay folk there, and people were hanging out and stuff. And paparazzi was kind of new. There was no internet back then. It was like 97, 98. There was no internet, no social media, no nothing.
This is something that ran on hard copy.
Right.
Like, that was where you saw shit. Yeah.
Exactly. That's where these things were fed to.
Mm-hmm.
And so Madonna was one, a couple superstars would have paparazzi follow. Madonna was one of them. And there'd be a group of just like people hanging out and just, scenesters. So it was about 2:30 in the morning. I walked Madonna out, like, people are a little aggressive and pushing and stuff like that. And, she goes, walk me to my car. I go, sure. I gave her a kiss on the cheek. That was it. I thought it was the coolest guy ever. It's Madonna, right?
Yeah.
So I'm walking back, and all of a sudden, the energy just changed. Like the derogatory comments, the F-bombs that were being thrown, the homophobia. Believe me, sugar gay was one of the most, was one of the least offensive terms being thrown. That's just the one that got me involved. And I go, all right. And you don't see me act like the worst fucking fake tough guy in the history of the world. I'm like, I'll tweeze your nipples off, bro. I didn't know what I was saying even, but people that I was with were getting like offended. They were running back in the bar. And I don't know, it's always been bummed out about the bullying and, and using the word gay. Look, we've all used it amongst our friends and stuff, but using it meaning less than or demeaning, I've never been cool with that, man. It's always been a bummer to me. So that's where that reaction kind of came from, and how that kid became some kind of martyr or hero is beyond me. But whatever. I mean, that's the kind of context what happened there. Of course, it's gotten chopped, rubbed, flipped, and then it's this little 12-second narrative that Mark McGrath yells at a 12-year-old kid last night.
Yeah, but people seem to forget what you were yelling about.
That's right.
You're defending gay people.
My gay friends.
Yes.
They're intimidated.
Of course. You don't say that fucking shit. Yeah.
He was defending
Todd,
you.
Don't do this to me. Not in front of Mark. Please.
He was standing up for Dan's rights.
But you know what I mean? Why was that cool to you? I mean, we know whatever. Like, look, I even said the guy, but then I go, we're not homies, dude. We don't got it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of my best things, but they didn't cut that out of the video. They left to tweeze your nipples in and eat my fuck or something. I had a lot of great Lee Ving shots in there, man. I remember you and Dave came into me once at a rehearsal, and this is the thing. I thought it just kind of disappeared, and it did disappear. I think Entertainment Tonight and Extra ran it the next day and said, Ricky Martin's out, Madonna's new love's in, Mark McGrath. Here they are walking out. It was this very mellow and sterilized version of it. But of course, I didn't know the internet was going to get invented by by Al Gore.
Listen, go ahead.
And then all of a sudden became this thing. And then every year, there's a new group of 14, 15-year-olds to discover it. And it's the greatest thing they've ever seen. So it's just become this huge thing. But the context of it was, man, it's just, watch your fucking mouth, man. Watch your words,
Yeah.
And someday some guy who is tough is gonna light you up. And it's probably gonna be a dude in West Hollywood, man. Let's do this. Yo.
You just got to be grateful that you didn't name your band Sugar Rigger. I'm just saying, you made a good choice by going Sugar Ray. That's all I'm going to say.
My God. I'm gonna laugh that hard at that. But I'll tell you this, Dan, the funny thing, getting back, you and Dave, came to me at a gig or something, at a sound check in 2006 or something. And Dave walks up to me with these Prince eyes, full of sex and weirdness. And he goes, I just saw your Sugar Gay video. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Because I watched it, and when I knew he said that, I go, oh no, here we go, here we go. And you're right behind him, chiming in, co-sign. We love it. I'm like, oh.
It's great. It's fucking great.
It's embarrassing. I acted like a moron. It bums me out. I wish it didn't exist. But the core of what I was trying to do, I would do it again, just a lot differently now, 25 years later.
We know you hate it, but we're adding the video right now on the YouTube link.
So I was talking to Dave yesterday, and I was like, he's like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, we're going to have Mark on tomorrow night. Dude, you're going to get into the Sugar Gay thing? You got to talk to him about that. Definitely. Okay, let's watch it. So he sends me the link. So we just saw it yesterday.
I understand. I promise you, Dave watched it today. He'll send it to me.
Yeah.
Have you seen this? 2 weeks ago. That's his ongoing joke. He goes, have you seen that? Which is great.
Yeah.
Did the child in the video ever find you? Did he ever find you on social media? Have you ever crossed paths again?
Never, because I don't think that kid's that happy with his performance. I think when you look in retrospect, if he came out, that was me saying, I think he's not going to get the welcome he thinks it is. You know,
that was me throwing derogatory slurs at at homosexuals.
Right? That's me throwing the gay hate at your group of folks out there.
I actually want to let you know that I know what happened to him. I found out. I found out who he was, and I found out that night, because of what you did, he hung himself.
Oh gosh, dude, Dan! If I didn't know you, I might even got wrapped up in that. But of all the stupid things I said that night, I did say you'll never make it in this business.
Right.
There you go.
We haven't seen him since.
We haven't seen him since.
Don't mess with McGrath coming out of the bar at 2:30 in the morning. Lit up, man.
Mark McGrath. Mark McGrath, prophet.
Yeah. Soothsayer.
Add it to the list.
But really, I just want to say, I don't want to make that again. I want to stipulate, I always say I reacted, because I wasn't going there looking for a fight. I'm out there being the moron I am, drunk, but I reacted like a drunken idiot that it was. It's embarrassing. I wish it didn't exist, but again,
we see it differently, because I still think that you were championing the right thing. You were aggressive.
Missed that. But what do you do?
You were being aggressive, but also, why wouldn't you be? I don't know. I just I think you give yourself too much of a hard time on that one, but I get it.
But Dan, it's kind of what you got back to saying, like, what do you get on the social media? What do you receive? I mean, I receive a lot of that shit all day.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I almost find myself having to explain to everybody, no, the actual context was, but there's only 24 hours in a day, and I'm a father, so it cuts into my social media correcting time, and then it's just this big viper pit of it doesn't matter anyway. Like Todd said, it is what it is. And once people have their narratives, that's it. They're on it. You're not gonna change their mind.
Yeah.
That's it.
And speaking of going viral, you mentioned on one of your robe chats, which you do on Instagram, which are great, by the way. Follow Mark on Instagram. Is it at Real Mark McGrath?
Yeah, and I hate saying the Real Mark McGrath. I hate that, but
it's necessary.
It's a comment. I'll say it for you. Yeah, at the Real Mark McGrath, he does these morning chats in his robe. But you spoke a couple months ago about having COVID. And I'm curious what your experience was with it. You're the first person that I knew that got it that actually didn't die. So I'm happy that you made it.
I'm sorry to hear you knew people that died.
Oh, a few people, but
pre-existing conditions.
But no, one of them, Adam Schlesinger, I assume, the guy, Fountains of Wayne dude. Yep. I knew him, and he was 52 with no health issues whatsoever, but he was also in New York, and it was just like you were doomed if you were in New York.
I knew like 10 people in New York, but most of them were older and had pre-existing conditions.
Yeah, but that's terrifying. 52.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my, you know what I mean? And then died from it?
52, incredibly wealthy, and had access to everything. Right. But he was put on a ventilator, which they're now kind of thinking that might have led to a lot of deaths somehow. So anyway, so what was your experience? Like, what were your symptoms? How did you find out? How'd you get it? What was the whole rundown?
One of my best friends, you guys know, is Dr. Amin Rahadi over at Cedars-Sinai. So I was lucky to have some access to a doctor that had some information. But, what happened is we have a nanny, lovely lady. She's been with us like 20 years. She was our housekeeper. She's become a family member. Once the kids came 10 years ago, she became a nanny. She went to a party in July. And she said there was going to be 5 people there. We know them all. We said, yeah, no problem. Don't worry about it. And she was very, adamant and meticulous and about what she needed to do. But there was like more people there than she thought. So she stayed for a little bit, left. Okay. That was just like on a Friday. Then Monday, she calls my wife and goes, I don't feel very good. I've got a thing in my throat and blah, blah, blah. And my wife goes, listen, we're going to my doctor, Dr. Schnittman, out there in Beverly Hills. I think Dave knows him. And he's just kind of, Beverly Hills, highfalutin doctor that you could get if you had the dough, you could get a test right away and get the results back quickly.
Right.
So my wife takes her over there, and while she's there, my wife goes, let me just get tested too. I'm here, let me just check. She gets tested. 6 hours later, we get a call. Your nanny has the COVID and your wife has COVID. And I'm like, and my wife has no symptoms. My nanny's starting to get in some symptoms now, but I'm starting to feel a little weird too. My wife's not feeling anything. And I go, I better go get a test too. So my wife goes into the master bedroom, the bedroom here, I guess you can't say it anymore, the bedroom, and it's quarantined and all that. And I go get my test, and I'm starting to feel a little, like low energy when you don't want to work out. You're like on the precipice of getting sick. Could go either way. I was right there. I went over and I got a test. I came out negative. All right, cool. I don't have it. So I'll take care of the kids. I'm by myself, taking care of twins and taking care of my wife. She couldn't do anything. I mean, it was just like, working 16 hours a day. And I'm starting to get more run down. A couple of days later, I'm getting sick. And I'm waking up with a fever. And I'm telling my wife, God, I don't feel good at all now. I'm just still sick. And she goes, you're just lazy, because I'm not doing all the stuff for the kids, Todd. You're washing dishes, you're cleaning clothes, you're doing all this stuff. And I'm taking care of her because she can't do anything. So then I go back to the doctor and I do another test. I've never been so happy to be positive for COVID in my life. I said, see, I told you I was sick. So
use the COVID sick to your advantage.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I was getting that sympathy card hardcore. So I'm sick, she's sick. We're trying to take care of the kids at the same time. What's really cool is like our neighbors really rallied around us, because we couldn't do anything. I'm isolated, she's isolated. Our kids were just old enough to sort of be able to take care of herself. My wife is starting to come out of it a little bit. She never got too sick, some fever, some sore throat, that kind of thing. You wake up in cold sweats. You lose your taste, which is you lose your taste and sense of smell. And that's happened to me too. But our nanny had to go to the hospital twice because she had like a breathing thing, and sent her home both times because you don't want to. You go on the ventilator, man. That is not where you want to be because it's hard to get off that thing because your body starts shutting down.
Your body thinks like, oh, I don't need to fight anymore. Someone's doing it for me, and then that doesn't go well.
Yeah, especially when you're a little bit older and you don't have that like fight or flight thing that you have when you're younger. So, it lasted a couple of days. We're in the business. The show must go on. At the sickest I felt, I would have gone on stage that night. I would have, just because my fever never got higher than 101. I felt crappy, but never too bad, and thank God. But when I called my doctor when I first heard we had it, I go, dude, what's up with this COVID? What do I expect? He goes, it's a shit show. I go, yeah, I know, I'm completely aware of that. What do I expect? He goes, it's a shit show. And that was a professional's expert's opinion. He goes, everybody's different. Marathon runner can get it and die 2 days later. A 103-year-old lady with pre-existing conditions can get it and never have any symptoms. It's completely subjective. We don't know what's going to happen. So I think we get out lucky when you think about it. My son tested positive, never had any symptoms. My daughter never did, and she lived in a COVID, petri dish for 2 weeks. So we came out of it. Took about a week to get our energy back, and by the grace of God, it never hit us too bad. We got the antibodies, and we're on the other side of it. So. That being said, the worst part of it was the mental thing because you don't know. Right. It's like when an earthquake starts, you're like, is this the bad one? Is this the gnarly one? Mm-hmm. Right. You don't know where this earthquake is going to go, and that was the scariest thing for me.
But it's a 2-week earthquake for you, basically.
Totally. Yeah. But I think there's 3 or 4 days where you feel like when you start coming out, you're like, okay, I think that was the peak. For us, that's what happened, and that was it. So we got it just because our nanny went out and just met with some friends, and there was more people than she thought, and that was it. And I've done a little research about that. It's a very common occurrence, that just tends to happen because, look, not everybody are the Rolling Stones and they can go sit in Jamaica and ride this out for 4 years. People got to work. They got to feed their family, and they're going to make a decision. I'll risk it, and that's what a lot of folks have been doing,
Yeah.
See, I thought this whole time that you got it from playing Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, I did feel a little ill after I came out of that. I gotta say, but I think I was just hungover.
That's funny shit.
No, but then it's funny. It just and I think we already talked about it. But yeah, now I am an anti-Trumper from this whole Pence thing. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a wild, we're in a wild time. We are in a very, very wild time.
But you know what's crazy? What's the best case scenario for the election?
I mean, honestly, it has to be him. It has to be Trump losing, in my opinion, just because. And beyond politics, I just think he's incredibly dangerous, and we're losing the respect of the entire world. We're losing alliances we've had. We're losing people that were friends with us if it came down to war. And also we're dying by the hundreds of thousands. It's weird. It's just, and there's no, every other Republican, I've voted Republican before. I would maybe do it again, but every president in my lifetime at some point has been unifying for everybody, or at least tried to be unifying for this country. And he's never done it. Not one time has there been a genuine thing. And
it's going to be bad either way.
Of course.
Todd,
I mean, the future might not.
That's what I mean.
The future will be very differently, but be
We're
prepared.
Yeah.
Because up
here's
until like
the thing.
summertime.
Yeah. Go ahead, Todd. Sorry, I interrupted.
No,
I mean,
just
here's
I'm
the
saying
thing,
up until
it's politics either way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of people on the left think Biden's going to come in and say he's a politician, man.
Yeah.
You know, so you're going to get whether like it God forbid Trump got elected somehow, you're going to get it right away. You're also going to get it 18 months later when some of the more progressive groups realize, wait, this is just politics as usual. Where was this gigantic sea change? Where was this elimination of the police? I mean, there is a radical faction of people that want something to happen that aren't going to be tempered. Joe Biden, Smiley, like Joe Biden makes me feel good too. You know what I mean? But how long is that going to last when you want real change?
Well,
So
also, the other thing to consider is how long is Joe Biden going to last?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as almost making a senility joke, but like a lot of people surmise that the reason why Harris was put on the ticket is because they want her to be president.
Of course.
And after a year or so, he's going to go, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. And you know what I mean?
As a voter, I'm more excited for her than I am for him as a voter.
I would agree. I don't think that's even being masked anymore. No pun intended.
No.
I think, she even blundered and said that, the Kamala administration will be, I mean, it's like, it's already been talked about. You could tell.
Yeah.
Right.
And Joe's just kind of happy to be the teeth figurehead, like, hey, Uncle Joe, just please don't. I don't know why Jim Carrey, he better get a Golden Globe and an Emmy for all of the nuances in that performance in SNL was so great.
Just the cocking was worth
just
every
amazing.
second of it.
A lot of Fire Marshal Bill came out of that Joe Biden.
Yes.
Oh yeah, good call.
You notice that?
That's the first thing that I said to my wife because she had seen it first, and I said to her, "Did he do Fire Marshal Bill as Joe?" Like before I ever even saw it.
Let me tell you something.
It was the John. Let me tell you something. Oh, it was amazing. So I think either way, it's just going to be. I don't know how anybody's going to be appeased. I think for the first time, there's a real third party talking, and they want to see action. And they've already shown that this summer. So I think because let's be honest, right? Democrats, Republicans, everybody's all in about the money and Wall Street and all that. I mean, it's never not been that from Obama to anybody. So when people don't see this like immediate defunding of the police, the immediate prison reform, they're gonna fucking go crazy again.
Crazy, yeah.
We're in wild times. Let me ask you one more thing. Not even politically, but like we all of us here are Howard Stern fans, and Stern has mentioned on multiple occasions that he knows Trump pretty well, and he said that the guy that we see on TV is not the guy that Stern knows. You spent how much time with him before? How long were you on The Apprentice for?
I spent 3 months with the guy.
Okay, so can I ask, like, what was your opinion of him when you were working there? What kind of guy was he to you? Like, what if you were to describe him pre-2016? What would you say?
Yeah, and I think it's kind of the reason why I kind of get stuck in this like weird Trump vortex, and I'm a Trumper because I do know him and the family from being on Celebrity Apprentice. I mean, these reality days, there's 16-hour days, especially on Celebrity Apprentice, where I've never worked harder in my life and begged people for money all day, which is the hardest thing for me to do. And Ivanka would come in, and Eric and Don Jr. would come in, and so they come in for hours, and you build a relationship with the people. And I never heard Trump say anything untoward. He was nothing but a gentleman to me. I can only judge people by their experiences. I always say this, I don't think anybody was more surprised that he became president than Donald Trump. He got into that race to build his brand. That's what he does. He's a brand builder. Now,
100%.
Yeah, he found himself, he fell on some rhetoric that was working somehow, obviously fed to him by Steve Bannon and those guys, and was like, wait a minute, okay, because I, in the mid-90s, was at like a trans club, which was a hot club in New York, and Donald Trump was there with some of the New York Knicks, and Puffy was there, and he was just hanging there, red tie, goofy, out of place, but he was there. I mean, he was always a very sort of, liberal guy, always hung with everybody, always, shaking hands with Jay-Z. I mean, he was like kind of like the cool, Mac Miller has a song called Donald Trump. He was kind of the cool guy in New York. So that's kind of the guy I met. He was a gentleman. He was cool. When I got fired, he brought me in his office the next day and for 45 minutes talked to me about what a great player I was. I just got lost in the reality show, sort of a hurricane and blah, blah, blah. If you ever need a letter of recommendation or anything, I'm here for you. And I really believed it. I mean, so he was nothing but cool and kind to me. The only thing he ever said weird was Lisa Rinna had just had these big lips put in, and she had just got them taken like down a little bit. And he goes, Lisa, I noticed your lips, they seem smaller. And she goes, yeah, I was tired of having the big lips. She goes, does Harry mind? That was the only weird kind of set, but it was innocent. It was funny. I didn't care. So that was my experience and kind of led me to going, Mar-a-Lago, he might be there. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not political. I know the guy a little bit. I wasn't going there to make a stand. I wasn't going there to plant a flag. I wasn't going there to raise money. I go, if I see him, I'll be it,
Also, just in light of what you're saying, say you, Dan, we make this bid to run for president, and there are people talking, say this, say that, you're building your brand, then you win. Like, who knows? I might become Hitler from that experience. Do you know what I mean? Like who knows what that fucking does to the psyche?
Well, it's true because
you know what I mean?
What do they say? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. I mean, you're not just running for let me be president you're the president of the United States. What would you do to sell your soul? I will say this, I'm disappointed with a lot of the rhetoric he's used because it wasn't the guy I saw on the TV show, kind of getting back to the people you were saying, you know what I mean? It wasn't the guy that I knew, but I think he's really just, he's really trying to, galvanize his base and knows but it's been disappointing with some of the irresponsible things. As someone's gone through COVID, they're very irresponsible. It's kind of referring to, it's not a big deal. Not all of us got flown on Marine One to, Walter Reed, that 95 guys, but so that kind of bummed me out. And I think you guys said it best, the lack of humanity in whenever there's been a problem in the past, the fireside chats, FDR, JFK Jr., all these incredible speeches, we don't remember what happened after. We remember the speeches. Remember, wow, those were amazing. President, when Bush threw that first ball out of the Yankee game and then strike, and it was I got
goosebumps. I got goosebumps.
Yeah. I went and watched that the other night. I didn't vote for it, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like, wow, man, he just lacks any presidential qualities. I really didn't know kind of how narcissistic he can be. I didn't know that was in him that much. I was a little surprised to see the division that he caused,
Right.
Do you think he is still the guy that you know, or do you think he's become this new thing? Has he transformed forever at this point?
I think once you go through that, President of the United States, I don't know how you don't change somehow.
You can't go to the crossroads and make the deal and go back. That's the whole point of that story.
He's not going to have the Darth Vader back to Anakin moment.
No.
He's not going to have that.
And you know why he's not going to? Because I think he's going to find a very different world to come home to. The man loves New York City. He's never going to be welcomed in a diner, restaurant. You know what I'm saying? So, you can sell your soul all day, but there's a price to pay for that.
Yeah, for sure. Dan, let's
Dan,
move
Dan's
into
so funny. Dan hits me up and goes, "We don't talk about politics, man. It's cool. I won't even bring it up." I go. Let me just see where it goes. And
I was like, Dan, just throw one out there. He'll fucking go on tangent. Believe me.
Oh, no, but I actually truly, I am intrigued at the human being that he is. I'm just curious, like someone that knows him, just the perspective of before and after. I was just curious, but I'm happy to move on for sure.
Yeah, let's move on. Go ahead, Mark.
Oh, sorry, Todd, but you just look at the people he kind of surrounded himself with for years. The Michael Cohens, the guys that just I don't know, man. You know, what do they say? You know, show me a man's friends, and I'll show you the type of guy he is. You know what I mean? I don't know.
The company you keep. Yeah, the company you keep.
Yeah, exactly. Company you keep.
So we want to let Mark off the hook very soon, but I thought that this would be a good thing to wrap up and reading him one of our listener questions and having him answer that question because it's a good one. It's a good one because I want to know your thought on how you felt, which I'm sure I know exactly how you felt on the passing of our hero, Eddie Van Halen.
Oh man.
So. Yeah, we have a listener question here, and you can answer that question and then kind of go into how you're feeling about the whole thing because I was hit harder than I thought I would be.
Me too.
Yeah.
You know?
Here we go.
Go ahead.
What's everybody's favorite deep cut Van Halen songs? Mine's probably Little Guitars off Diver Down.
That's actually a good selection.
Yeah, but I almost thought that Little Guitars isn't a deep cut. But I mean, I guess to non-Van Halen fans, it would be.
For me, you'd have to go to Sammy Hagar Van Halen to have any deep cut Van Halen songs. For me,
right.
You know, those records meant so much to me.
Those were good. They were good,
and they were so revolutionary. And let's not forget about the punk rock element to Eddie Van Halen's guitar playing. Eddie Van Halen saw Stiff Little Fingers at the Whiskey in '78. Okay. Wow. The guy was very interested in the punk movement, and Van Halen saved rock and roll, meaning they were the bridge from the '70s, rock and roll, like the Deep Purple and stuff. It was kind of dying out. Like new wave was coming in, punk rock was coming in, and Van Halen kept that bridge, that lane open long enough for rap to join, for Quiet Riot to join, and it was because of the genius of Eddie Van Halen. When you hear Eruption play, and then you listen, you really got me. It's the heaviest thing you ever heard, and it's not. And I mean, it's two chords, but it's the heaviest thing you've ever heard. And when I look at greatness, I judge greatness kind of by this, and I said this in my road chat. What came before it and what came after it? Because David Crosby said something. I don't know if you heard about David Crosby's reaction. Someone asked him, like, what do you think about Eddie Van Halen's past? And he went, meh.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. His reaction, David Crosby on his Twitter was, meh. And he goes, to me, there's only one God, Jimi Hendrix. And I will agree that Jimi Hendrix was amazing, but Eddie Van Halen right there. And like in terms of what they did.
I have three. Like I want to ask you if you agreed on this, but I have three guitar players in my mind that reinvented the instrument, and it's Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, and in my opinion, Tom Morello are the big three for me. As far as like you're doing something that we've never heard, seen, thought about before. Do you have anyone you'd add or any thoughts on that?
It'd be really hard to argue against that. There's players like Prince and Stevie Ray Vaughan that were just so virtuoso. There were such virtuosos that you want to put them up in terms of resolutionizing the instrument, but I don't necessarily think Prince did. The guitar was an extension of him. Right. Stevie Ray Vaughan, extension, great tones and great players. But
even Jimmy Page, I don't put as Page, innovator. You know what I mean?
He did the bow and that kind of stuff, but like,
that was a trick. That was a trick. Tom Morello wrote songs with
yeah. But you could say those are tricks too. You could say that the whammy pedal is a trick from Morello as well, but he used it as like his core sound.
But it's a trick. But as you know from playing Bulls on Parade, it was part of the song. Bow wow, bucka buck. Led Zeppelin never really, wrote a song around the bow. It was more of like a Stony Space Jam during Madison Square Garden.
Right. Okay, so there's a great interview at the Smithsonian with Eddie Van Halen. He did like 5 years ago, like 2016 or something. He talks about exactly that, tricks. It's like what people call tricks. And he goes into how he couldn't afford pedals and stuff like that when he started playing. So he had to learn how to make those sounds with just his fingers and the board.
Whoa.
So certain tones and certain pedals and certain guitars even were made to emulate his sounds that he did without using any effects. So right there off the bat is innovation. When you have companies cashing in on, you know, the Floyd Rose thing is his invention, you know, and but that's, if you are an Eddie Van Halen fan and you haven't seen it, watch it, because he goes into his childhood, he goes into his family, he goes into the musical background and all of it. But he talks about that, how these weren't tricks. He's like, people like to call them tricks, but it was the only way I could play because I couldn't afford to buy anything to make it sound any different. So he learned how to make it sound different with his own bare hands and Frankensteining the guitar and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, to say necessity is a mother of invention, you know, it's one of those deals. And you know what? There's a Guitar Center in America you couldn't walk into before posthumously that isn't hearing playing Eruption. I mean, you know, so like, you know, everybody tried to do the hammering, tapping and stuff, but Eddie made it his own. I know he wasn't the first to do that. I know I'm aware of that, but he integrated into his music and made it palatable for others, as opposed to it being a trick. It became, wow, he's starting a song with that. You know, it's an elegant part of the solo, you know, which is something he did, and he revolutionized the instrument. And Morello, I couldn't agree with you more on him as well. Couldn't.
Yep. He talks about in that interview him and his brother going to see Zeppelin at the Forum way back in the day, and watching Jimmy Page go like with his one finger, and that's where he came up with the idea. If I, instead of doing it with one finger, add all my fingers, like he said, I didn't invent it. He says that right out, but he's like, but using all the fingers he's like, I came up with that idea from watching Jimmy Page.
Oh, and he does those pick taps when he taps the pick on the frets.
It's
fucking amazing. Like when Navarro does that jump solo when we do those Royal Machine shows, it's my favorite part of the set every show when he starts doing those pick taps on the frets.
You guys are gonna hate this, but Dave Navarro, revolutionary guitar player. There was no alternative music before Dave Navarro started playing guitar. It was called college music.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And Jane's Addiction and absolutely entered in that alternative era. I mean, you know, because Ritual de la Vigil came out before Nevermind, correct?
Yes. Yeah, Ritual was 90. Nevermind, I think, was 91.
Yeah. So, like, you know, like they were really starting that alternative lane, and then, you know, Nirvana just broke it wide open. But Dave, dude, I mean, I know we all know him, so it's almost weird to be like, I would throw him right up there with those fellas.
We've said this a million times that he is a tragically underrated guitar player. Like, and some of it you can't tell unless you ever hear like the isolated tracks or watch him play. He wrote the weirdest fucking things that don't make sense. And the genius of Jane's is that Dave was doing something, Eric Avery was doing something completely different that shouldn't make sense, but it worked. But Dave he's so innovative. And
Perkins is just doing tribal drums all day. And then Perry, and it's like, you know, that is a band truly the sum of its parts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
you know, exactly.
100%.
But Dave also is a great singer, man. Dave
I know.
Has a great voice. He won't sing. It makes me so mad.
He just hates it, but I agree with you. There are some songs that he's like, you know, when we were filming Morning Sun, I had to sneak one in because it was like married with an art film that we put in there. But I was like, let's use Slow Motion Sickness at the end. Let's do that. He was like, no Janes, no solo stuff. No. And I was, so I got to sneak one in, but he was adamant against it. And I'm like, dude, some of these songs are so fucking killer that you're singing on.
It's so funny
to hear the voice of the child that we're talking about who lost his mom, you know, and he was like, you're not talking me into it. Fuck you.
Something people don't understand, like if you're not in the Royal Machines Camp Freddy world, the sound checks and the rehearsals that we have are unbelievably. There's so many layers, so many moving parts, and so many guests. Mark's now a full-time member, which you by the way, a whole new life to that group. So thank you for coming and being part of that. It's so nice. But there's so many different singers doing different harmonies and different parts. And Dave is always the guy sitting on the side being like, do it like this. And he's always right. And then someone's like, why don't you just do it? He's like, nope, someone else do it. But he knows.
We'll be sitting there going, sweet emotion, like terribly. And Dave can nail it and has no problem not doing it.
I know.
Sounds cool to me. Dave, you do it. He's like, nope. I love his commitment. I love
point of reference, Jimi Hendrix hated the sound of his own voice.
Is that true?
He used to have the engineers turn the volume down when he was recording on his voice, and they would sneak it back up because they're like, "You're amazing, like the soul in your voice." And he's like, he was incredibly insecure.
Another guy that does that is Duff McKagan. So when he sings a few GNR songs, he does a lot of backups, and he has his own band, and he has none of his voice in the monitors. So if you don't understand how music works, if you're a singer, you usually need to hear yourself. It's the most important thing you could possibly have. Mark, can you imagine doing a set without hearing your voice? Like just
he's only relying on the front of house?
Just relying on house. I mean, now I think GNR is now fully on in-ears, but back in the day, up until like 5-6 years ago, he listens to all front of house.
And he's his version of You Can't Put Your Arms Around a Memory. I mean, he's got such a great rawness to his voice, and his musical pedigree is flawless. So there's no way Duff could do anything wrong. You know,
Agreed.
Look, anybody's ever sang is insecure as hell, but it pisses me off when people have great voices don't sing, because I sing all day. I'm the last guy that should be singing.
Oh, no, I'm not going to let you get away with doing this on Mark McGrath. I'm not going to let you do this on Mark. I'm a bad singer. I'm an unprofessional loser guy. I'm not taking it. I'm not having, not on my show, bub.
It's my whole rap.
I will throw this in. When I go to the shows, which I've been going to for years, and you're always one of my favorite people to see, obviously, before we go, and I drive Dave over, I'm like, oh, cool. Gonna hang out with Mark a little bit. It'll be fun. So the one thing that I can say is out of all the people that play, every single one of them, crew included, you're the only one that seems to actually appreciate that they're there at that moment. The rest of them are all bitching about some stupid fucking thing, or like even Dan, right?
Todd,
Dan,
yes, Dan. But Todd, you've obviously never seen Mark after the shows.
I still appreciate I'm there. I just don't know I'm there.
There's been a couple epic Mark moments post-show where he needs to be consoled and people go into his room.
That's because he cares so much.
Todd, you're right. Because when you introduce Robin Zander as Robin Crosby, and Robert Zander won't let you go. Like he would. Remember, he came backstage and told me, I quit. I just destroyed a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member. I called him Robin Crosby, and I just love Rat. So like, there's so many Robins.
You got
what other Robin are you going to think of? That's the go-to Robin from my age group too.
But God, introducing Robin Zander to come on stage, and you call him Crosby, and he's the headliner in his hometown.
Oh my God!
They had to come by my room. I wouldn't open it. They're all worried about me, but they were kind enough to order room service to my room.
I remember that. No, there was like a few guys went to your room as like an intervention of like, listen, dude, don't quit. It was a mistake. It was funny. No one is more upset than you are. Like,
you're right.
Get past it, and you're like, no, I quit. I'm quitting music. I'm moving to Fiji. I'm out of here.
I might have actually been more stoked to see Robin Crosby at that moment, to be honest.
Listen, I'm a huge King fan. I love rap, but like that was just not the time to do that shit, man. And you know, Rick Candy just loves to jump on that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I actually didn't know. Did Zander really get upset at you?
He didn't get upset. You know, that fake smile, like, bro, you called me the wrong name. Like right. Totally angry, but like conciliatory. But I love Robin Zander. He's the nicest guy in the world. I completely fucked up. I completely apologize. He still won't let me off the hook when I see him. So he's
That's
still
a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, when he rightfully so. But But he's a class act, and he knew I felt terrible. I sent him a bunch of flowers, and I cried to his wife. I put him on the phone, all that stuff, But these are the reason why I get so excited, because these guys are my heroes. I mean, Todd, you sent a video to me of me performing EMI with 3 Sex Pistols: Steve Jones, Glenn Matlock, and Paul Cook. I mean, if you can't completely enjoy that, then don't do it, man.
Yeah, and I just for the record, I didn't send anyone anything else because I knew you're the only fucking person that would appreciate it.
It's so well cut.
I literally cut it for you.
Oh, and it's so well shot, and it looks so cool. It's one of my favorite things, and I might put it on every now and then. I might watch it by myself.
Awesome.
You actually you just said something that wants me. I want to give you one last question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You've been doing music for a very long time. You've been very fortunate. You're still a working musician, which is more you can ask for nowadays anyway.
Sure.
What are some, besides what you just said, what are some of the more surreal moments of your career where you're like, whether it's acting, whether it's on stage, where you just can't believe that this is happening? Are there any that stand out?
Yeah, definitely. And one night in particular when I went, it probably will never get better than this moment right here. It was April 18th, 1999, and we're opening up for the Rolling Stones in Las Vegas, okay? So every morning's #1 on the charts. We're opening up for the Rolling Stones. We had a couple songs, enough that the crowd knew us, so they weren't too vicious. They were kind of into it. It's Vegas, everybody's partying. Show was going great, half-hour set. Even we can't fuck that up. But hey, I just want to thank the Stones, man. This is a dream come true. I mean, I'm sure you've heard it a million times, but I just want to thank them so much. I got one last song. It's #1 right now. I couldn't ask for anything more than open for the Rolling Stones and play a #1 song. Thank you. Except that Keith Richards and Mick Jagger are right there watching us play this song right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I Can Die. And we went into every morning right there. They were right in the monitor road, watching like this. And I'm like, and I knew right then it might never not get better than right here.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
it's not close.
Goosebumps again.
Cool, but never that, But then, I got to act with James Caan. I got to train in a Las Vegas episode. So I got to perform with the Beach Boys. I mean, I can go down the list and bore everybody with Camp Freddy and Royal Machines. I mean, it's just such an incredible. I mean, from Ozzy to Billy Idol to Billy Gibbons, these people have become my friends.
Yeah.
Billy Gibbons goes, "How you doing, Mark?" And does it to you guys. You guys know what that's like. It's amazing. So
Yeah.
I'm still making dreams and memories come true. And I think a lot of it has to do with, most of it has to do with the Royal Machines, but also it's be nice to people. Because at this age, we're all at, if you can't hang and sort of be friendly and cool, no one needs to deal with your fucking ass. No one does, and I'm just grateful to still have this opportunity,
Well, deservedly so, Mark. Maybe a little luck of the Irishans mixed in there.
Aaron Gorales, as they say. Hey, speaking of hardcore New York, I'll be doing Toby Morse's podcast.
Oh, yeah. Toby's to the One Life, One Chance podcast.
One Life, One Chance.
That's a
I was
great
just
podcast.
listening to it. I sent him a thing. Go, dude, I'm learning so much about New York hardcore. You're doing great. You let your guys speak. I'm a bit verbose and garrulous, if you guys have noticed. And he interviews everybody from Danny Boy, from House of Pain, to Scott Vogel from Terror, Tim Armstrong, and it's just great stories, and just what a lovely guy. I've never met him. I'm going on his podcast.
Toby's a friend of mine. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. Yeah.
He seems that way.
Cool. Yeah, he's totally cool. Great.
Mark, thank you so much for coming. This has been awesome. Really, really good to see you. And as someone who's worked for you, I appreciate you always being cool. And I also thank you for your friendship, sir. You're a good man.
Dan, right back at you, my friend. It's so good to see you guys. Todd, you as well. And when I see you guys live, man, I'm going to give you the most COVID hug you've ever received.
When is that going to be? When are we getting back to work? What do you think? What's your best guess?
I'm hoping after the election, things kind of simmer down a little. When I saw sports start coming back and people are starting to watch football games, here's the thing. It's never going to be perfect again, guys. It wasn't perfect before COVID. Be responsible. And if you don't want to go, don't go.
Don't go.
It's going to be that simple. I mean, because whether there's a vaccine or not, we just can't keep submarining this business called music. We can't. We got to go play again. We got to. Yeah. If you don't want to go, and you got family at home, I got it. But, some of us got to go out there and
I'm
we can't all make
feeling,
cameos all day, you know?
I'm feeling June, July is my guess.
I think you're right.
Like normalcy-ish.
I did a creepy one-off corporate show down in Orange County 2 weeks ago. That was my first show, but it was Newport where they didn't even care about mass. So I'm hoping to see a bunch of one-offs, private shows and stuff like that, but a full tour, probably not to next summer at the earliest.
Because the answer is not, it's not YouTube shows. The answer is not Zoom shows. Like that's just not, doesn't work for music.
That's not the experience. That's not the live experience.
Doesn't work for stand-up, doesn't work for bands, but
blood, sweat, and tears, gentlemen. You know, you need a 3D effect. It always has been. And that's why I don't care how much we do of all this, it'll never go away. The live, you know, it's been around since, you know, the forum days for a reason, you know.
Remember when you were a kid, that smell, the mixture of sweat and weed.
Oh.
You know, you can't,
at a concert,
you can't get that. You
and it was scary, but beautiful, but great. And you love, I hate crowds now, but back then you loved crowds and all that. I love it.
Cool.
Great.
Well, thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Todd. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you, buddy. And for everybody out there, we will hopefully see you next week. And that's it. Thanks for listening.
By the time you hear this, we will have a new shirt up and running, an October special. So enjoy the merch, everybody. We love you. You can find us at Rareform Radio, Twitter, Instagram. You can find Mark at Real Mark McGrath. Join him on his robe chats.
Yeah, robe chats. Come join for a little robe chat. And thank you, our Rareform listeners, for putting up with me today, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Love you, buddy.
Take care, man. Love you guys too. Be good.
Later.
This is Lola, and I'm here to tell the world to stop being such pussies and listen to Rareform Radio.